Hello everyone, welcome to the next session on SAP UI5. In the last class we discussed about OData service. We have given a closure to our OData service chapter. In today's session we will go ahead and discuss how to consume the OData service which we have built using our SAP FIORI project. We will also talk about creating multiple operations from FIORI for the OData. Let's get started. You can see here I have already downloaded the FIORI-like app which we have built in the previous session. You can see the file over here. I have downloaded and extracted it from the blog in the server here. You can see this is the file, and we have built this project in the past as a FIORI-like app. Now this particular project I am going to take and I am going to add it in the Eclipse in this particular server. So you can see here I have also installed the Eclipse and also set it up the required UI5 libraries into this Eclipse. So I will now just right click on Eclipse, import, click on import, existing project into workspace option is what I choose. Select here the directory where my FIORI-like app is being placed. Click on browse. You can see the app is available over here. Click on finish and you can see the FIORI-like app is added, right? So this is the app which we have built. You remember index.html, manifest and ComponentJS file. Everything is present over here. I right click and or maybe I'll just double click on index.html file just to show you that this is our file. We have created this project in the FIORI chapter. Now I will right click and try to run this as a web app preview. Copy this and try to run it in the browser. So you can see it's starting but not loading. Let's press F12 and check what is the problem. So you can see the problem over here. The problem says that it is unable to find SAP UI core JS. You can see here localhost 60578 FIORI-like app resources SAP UI core JS. It is unable to find the UI5 framework basically, which means there is some problem with my Eclipse. Because of that it's not able to find the index.html from the index.html this particular resource. So for the time being what I will do now is, because I can't solve this problem right now, I will just replace this with the UI5 framework available in Google in the CDN, Content Delivery Network. You all know that in a Bootstrap we can have a reference from the local, or we can also have a reference from HANA Cloud Platform directly. So how do you get the reference from internet for UI5 libraries? Is just go to internet and search for SAP UI5 Bootstrap. Go to SAP UI5 Bootstrap. You can see the first link over here itself, and you can see it's loading. Now this Bootstrap is probably more like a local version. I want something from CDN. So you can see the option number 2, variant for bootstrapping from Content Delivery Network. So in any case, any of you face any problem related to the loading of UI5 libraries, you can always try this approach where you can reference the UI5 framework or UI5 library directly from internet, the latest version of it. So you can see there are multiple ones. OpenUI5, as we discussed, is an open source. Anybody can use this and build an application and publish the applications. There is no licensing required. For the one which comes with HANA Cloud Platform, you need probably the HCP license or a trial version license, or the one which you want to use from SAP Gateway, you need the NetWeaver license according to that. But if I use the OpenUI5, I don't need any licenses. It's an open framework through which I can build my UI. So I copy this file, come back to Eclipse and paste it in the source. So you can see now the source of the JavaScript file is from internet. So it will download all the required libraries in my local computer when I run this app, right? Let's go and test it now. It should be resolved now. So if you come back and refresh the page, you can see it's now loading all the files, and voila, you see finally it's also loading the project which we have built. Perfect, that's what we wanted. But now that it's time to connect this particular project with our gateway service which we have created. Okay, it's time to connect with our gateway service which we have created. So let us go and try to connect with our gateway service. So we have created a gateway service over here in our SAP system. You can see this is the URL path, and if you want the complete URL, that's going to be my complete URL. So I copy this complete URL, come over here, test it in the browser first. You can see it's asking credentials. I just entered and you can see it's loading my OData service. So here, can anybody tell me if I want to access the data for products, what will be my entity set name? Anybody? If I want to access the data for products, what will be the entity set name which I should use? Anyone? Let's see. What will be my entity set name if I want to access the data for products? Very good answer. It is product set. So product set will give me all the data for my products. So let me copy this product set and try here in the browser, question mark dollar format equals to JSON, and you will see all the data for the products are loaded in the browser in the JSON format. Perfect. That's our OData service. We only created this, right, in the last session. Now it's time to connect this OData service with our Fiori application which we have built in the past classes. How do we do it? Can anybody tell me what is the technique through which your OData gets connected to your controls? What is that technique called? How does your controls of Fiori will take the data? How will it take the data? What is the way to do that? What is the technique called? Perfect answer, Shiva, binding. But which type of binding you going to do here? What is the type of binding you going to do here? Not element binding, not really element binding. Okay, there is nothing called attribute binding. There is something called property binding, element binding, and aggregation binding. So we're going to do aggregation binding first of all to bring all these list items on the left. Perfect answer. I think uh, Ram has got the right answer. Aggregation binding is what we're supposed to do to bring all the products on the left. You also remember in the previous session we have discussed about paging concept in UI5. You can see paging concept. We are only loading certain amount of records, and more number of records when you want, user needs to click on this. It goes and again fire a backend query and load more record. Our OData service is also equipped with the paging concept. If you remember, we have also implemented the paging. So $top equals to 1 when I do, it is only going to give me one single record. That is how you are going to safeguard your Fiori application, avoiding loading of large amount of data. Imagine you have 1 million sales orders in your database table in ERP system, and if you in one shot try to load everything in your Fiori app in a mobile device, it won't work. So you have to use paging concept to load less amount of data at the beginning, and then uh, probably when user scroll down or user click on certain button, you load more data. So you load the data in chunk by chunk. You don't load all the data in one shot. That's how you safeguard your application being stopped or being not being loaded at all. So this is also already done, but we just need to now connect this one with our new OData service. So I just quickly go back to OData service. That's our OData service. I'm just gonna give the URL for the service part. So this is the URL for the service part. Let me copy this, come back to our Fiori app, and let's try to find out the place. It's in ComponentJS where we have created the OData model. So you can see this is our OData model where I have given the URL for a free service available on internet from services.odata.org. I got to change this, so I will change it to our ERP server. whatever ERP server we have. You can see I've changed it. Great. Can anybody tell me what is the proxy? Anyone? Why I am using the proxy? Let's see if you remember the previous classes. What is proxy? Perfect answer, Ram. So proxy is nothing but is a proxy servlet available with SAP UI5 runtime, which allows me to avoid the cross-origin resource sharing issues which comes over when I try to access the app. Thank you so much. You remember all the things. That's good. My knowledge which I've spread to you is successful. If you all remember these things, that's pretty good. So now it's connected here. Save this. Let's go back and also try to manipulate the binding. It's in the master view, and if you come to the master view, here is your list control, and you can see the binding is being done with products. This products was earlier available in the old service. Now can anybody tell me how I'm going to change, what should I change here in order to connect it to my new OData service? What is your entity name, entity set name, if you want to bring in the products from your OData service? Perfect answer, Ram. You did a small mistake. Anu has got absolutely right answer. S has to be capital. It's case sensitive, guys. So it is product, S is capital, product set. That's very important. If you keep this S as small, it will not work. Because your entity set name is product set, you can see S is capital in the entity set name. So these are very small silly mistakes which we typically do when we are doing binding. So it's always recommended that you copy the entity set name and paste it in your project. That's always recommended so that you don't end up in doing case sensitive mistakes. Also look at the properties. So you can see product ID, type code, product name, everything is in capital letters, and these are all the new properties. So we got to connect these properties now over here. So product name, its name, price of the product, price, and then we have the currency code. So where is it? The currency code, here it is. So currency code and the product ID underscore ID. Perfect. I connected all these properties nicely. Save this. So now you're going to load the list items. At the same time, in the detail view, if you look at, we have done the relative binding here for the product data. So let me change here. Description of the product, name of the product, price of the product, and together with the price, I want to show currency also. See here, I'm doing dual binding. So one property and second property, both I'm doing here together. So this will also work, should work ideally. Let's go and check it. Okay, save this. Let's come back, and the moment I refresh, it should go to my gateway system now and pull in the data from our own service. You can see it's asking me the credentials. Let me enter my credentials. Press enter, and voila, you see guys, on the left side it's loading all the product with the product prices. It's very big actually because we did not format it. So let me just remove for the time being the price property so that we can see the data in a better shape. Save it, refresh. Yes, there you go. You can see it's loading all my products from the real gateway system. If you can compare the data, you can see the first product is Spider-Man laptop, ultrasonic speed laptop, and you come here, select this, you can see ultrasonic speed laptop and the Spider-Man laptop. That's the exact data coming from the gateway system, guys. Yeah, see? And we've done nicely a paging concept. You see, it hardly took me 5 minutes to connect with a real OData service. So you all can be an OData developer and also can be a UI developer in your company. You can play both the roles, and that's where your value, you are unique because you know OData also, you know UI5 and Fiori also. That's the power I have given you in your hand today. So you see, if you built an app with the local metadata, with the local JSON data, and you have your app ready, you can tomorrow, once the OData service is ready, just to connect in 5 minutes with the real OData service just by changing the URL in your entity sets, and it is going to take the data from the latest server data. See, and properly your paging is also working. You remember we connected it with the local data earlier, and then now it's picking up the data from the real OData server. And the paging is also nicely working. You see 109 products in total, 20 are loaded. If you click, it loads 5, 5, 5, 5 and so on. Every time 5 new products gets loaded. That's the paging which we have implemented. Perfect. That's what we wanted. Now, moving on next, I will show you how to do a post request from the gateway, from the UI, from the Fiori application to create a new product. How to do a post request. So let's go ahead and see that. For that I need to design a new screen, and the new screen should also pop in when I click on a button. So let me just go back, and in the master app view I'm going to create a footer for the page. Let me add a footer for the page. So footer, how do I know, guys, that there is aggregation called footer? Let's see. How do I know that there is an aggregation called footer in the page object? Anybody? How do I know? Perfect answer. I went ahead, I looked into the Explorer, UI5 Explorer, and there I got to know that there is something called footer. So let me just again show you SAP UI5 Explorer, explored, and then you just go to the first link, and here you will get the entire SDK loaded, and in this you can just go and check the page object and just select this page object, come to the aggregations, and yes, you can see here there is this footer available, right? In this footer we can pass a toolbar object. As you can see, the aggregation is 0 to 1, only one object at a time you can pass, and that's basically your toolbar object in this case. Very good. So that's how you get to know whatever I taught you guys is successful, because you all remember now. So new sap.m.toolbar, that's my toolbar object I'm creating as part of this footer. Okay, sap.m.toolbar object is what I'm creating. Let's go and quickly check how to add a button in the toolbar. So I just come toolbar, this is my toolbar object, go to the aggregations, and there's something called content aggregation. So in the content I'm going to add the toolbar objects, right? So content is the aggregation name, and you can see it's 0 to n, which means I can add multiple controls in the toolbar. You all have learned this in the past. In the previous chapters I taught you everything, right? If you'll remember. So content 0 to n and the control. So we can pass any control in this. So let me come here and put content aggregation and an array of objects, because it can contain multiple ones. So new sap.m.toolbar spacer. Can anybody tell me why am I adding a toolbar spacer object? Anyone? If you all remember, why am I adding a toolbar spacer object? Anyone? What is the need? Perfect answer, Ravi. We are going to align our buttons on the right side. That is the reason we are doing it. Never copy paste the code. That's why I always tell you, everyone, never copy paste the code. You can build your UI in seconds by going here, quickly moving into the examples, samples, and quickly going here to this XML view, copy paste these things and build your view. It is possible, but never do that. Never copy paste the code until you become a beginner. Okay, until you become a beginner, never copy paste the code. You should write every single line of code on your own. That's what real learning is. Don't go by others, don't follow them, because once they get into a maintenance project, they are all stuck because they don't know what they have copy pasted. Okay, after you reach to an intermediate understanding, definitely do the copy paste, because you need to speed up your development. For that you got to do the copy paste, but till then never copy paste the code. Voila, let's go ahead, add a new button, sap.m.button, and I'm going to add a button just with an icon into it. So let's keep an icon, sap-icon : an add icon. That's what I'm going to add, and let me also add a press action handler, and in this oController dot add new product, comma oController. I'm just pumping in the object of controller to the event handler. Let's define this event handler in our master controller. So let's go to controllers folder. You all remember, if you all remember, we have created this product structure. This project is structured in this fashion. You remember I taught you everything, how to structure this project like this. This is all we have done in the past classes. Fiori like app, route match handler, everything I taught you in the past. Oh, event, that's my new event handler. Now I basically want to navigate to a new view. Okay, so what we need supposed to do here, navigate to a view which provide create functionality. So we got to navigate to a new view. Can anybody tell me what is that responsible in SAP Fiori for navigation? Which concept is responsible for navigation in SAP Fiori? Anyone? Let's see. Perfect answer. Ram has got it right. It's a router concept. Router concept is responsible for navigation in SAP Fiori apps. So we got to go back and define a route configuration. But before that, let's create a new view, and we got to load that view on click of that button. But first, even before that, let's quickly come back and check if the button is appearing or not with the toolbar. So I come back and just refresh the page to see. Yes, you can see, guys, the button is coming, the toolbar is coming, and there's this plus button which is available. Right now when I click on the button, there's no implementation, so nothing is happening, right? So that's a plus button which we have it available. There's nothing happening at this point of time when I'm clicking on it. So what I'm going to do is, but the moment user click on plus button, I'm going to load a view on the right side where user can enter new product details. Yeah, new product details. I'm going to load that view. So for that, we need to define something called router configuration. Let's come back to our manifest. Okay, I think our router configuration is defined in ComponentJS itself. Here it is. You can see the routes. All the routes are available with the targets. So just put a comma, curly braces, and we got to give the pattern property. What should be displayed in the URL? What will be your pattern, your tag name basically? So my tag name is going to be, let's say, add new. That's going to be my tag name. And I just going to give the name of the view which is going to be loading. Sorry, this is the name of the router, root name. So root name, let me give as Joker. I'm just giving the root name as Joker so that you all can remember that it's not a keyword. Keyword is this one. These are all the keywords, pattern, name, and these are all the things which you can specify on your own. Okay. Now I just give the target. So in the target, I'm saying on the left hand side in the master section, you load the Donald, and then I will say on the right hand side, load a new target called Trump. Okay, so I'm going to create a new target called Trump. That's going to load on the right hand side. Let's create a new target Trump over here in the target section. So we're going to load Donald Trump over here in this. So let's enter the target properties view name. I'm going to add a new view, and let me just define the name for the view. It is going to be, let's say, new product. The view name will be new product view, and control ID where I want to load that is going to be again same Fiori content. That's going to be my control ID, and I'm going to load this view in the control aggregation, which is on the right side, which is nothing but detail pages. Okay, so new product view in the Fiori content with the detail pages aggregation, I am going to load. Let me define this view, new product view, in my views section. Okay, we will define this. So that's my target, and if I tell the router navigate to Joker, router will change the URL by putting this as the tag name, and it navigates to Donald Trump. Donald is loading the master section, and Trump is going to load the details section with the new product on the right side. Save this, Let's come back right here on the view and say new, and I will say new other. Always add the view with this technique, guys, because the basic structure of the view will be created. Always add the view with this technique. View, choose the view name. New product is the view name which I'm deciding. Click on JavaScript, okay, and which folder the view exists, we can give that. It's there already. Just say finish. You can see view and controller both got created. I got to move this controller to the controllers folder, and then this is my view. But you all remember, we have given a proper folder structure. We have given the name, proper namespace. This is our namespace, and then the folder name, and then the object name. So Spider-Man is our namespace. So according to that, I need to adapt my view and controller. So it is under Spiderman.views.new product. That's the path. And for the controller, Spiderman.controllers dot new product. That's the controller path. Let's quickly go back to the controller as well and change it here as well. So Spiderman dot controllers, these all things we have learned it already, guys. Please look at the previous class videos if you are not understanding anything here. Okay, if you are not able to understand what's going on here, you got to look at the previous class videos, because I have taught everything of this in the previous classes. Okay, if you have any confusions, you can unmute your line and ask the questions. Great. So get controller name, we are returning this, this controller name, and let's give the title, add your product here. Save this. Now this view is created, an empty view and an empty controller. At this time, we have also defined the route navigation path. It's time now for navigation, actual navigation to this new view. So once user click on plus button, I'm going to navigate to that particular view. So let me ask one question to all of you. What is the name of the route to navigate to my newly created view? What is the name of the route to navigate to my newly created view? Let's see. Perfect answer. Ravi has got it already. This is the name of the route through which I will navigate to my newly created view. You see, my newly created view is new product, and it's named with a target called Trump, and this Trump target is loading over here, and the name of this is Joker. This is the name of the route through which my view can be displayed. Joker is the name of the route. So let's come back to the master controller. So I come to the master controller, and here I need to invoke the router. I need to tell the router this dot router. You can see we have created a global object of the router in the previous chapters, dot nav2, and that's it. Just pass the route name. It should navigate you to the view which you are expecting. So the target is going to be Donald Trump. Donald is going to load the master section, which is already there on the system, and the Trump is going to load my newly added view. Perfect. Let's go back and test it. At least can we see our view loading now? I refresh the page and click on plus button to see whether really it loads. You see right now it's the detail view which is being loaded by default. Let me click on the plus button. Nothing is happening. There is something wrong. Press F12 and check, is there any error in the console? Yes, you can see cannot read property nav2 of undefined. Cannot read property nav2 of undefined, it's saying, because this particular thing is not being recognized. Can anybody tell me what mistake I did? This particular thing is not recognized. Anyone? What mistake I did? This particular thing is recognized as undefined. Perfect. Keshwa has got it. Very nice, Keshwa. You see the name of the router object is O router. See on the top we have defined it O router, and here it is just router. Here it is just router, right? It should be O router. Okay. Now coming to the next thing, just a quick tips and trick. If at all you want to increase the size of the character in Eclipse, how do you do it? Very simple. Go to go to Windows, Preferences, expand here, General, Appearances, Colors and Fonts. Okay, General, Appearances, Colors and Fonts, and now here you will see something related to JavaScript. So search for JavaScript. Yes, and you can see JavaScript editor text font, right? JavaScript editor text font. Click on this and click on edit default, and you can see you can choose the font size. Let me increase it to 14. Click on OK, click on apply, and voila, you see it got increased to 14. Yeah, makes it easy for all of you to read through the code. So you see now this .o router is nothing but I've defined a global object for my router, and I'm saying nav2 to Joker. Joker, I have already defined it in ComponentJS. This is my Joker. It's going to navigate to a target Donald Trump. Donald is going to load the master section, and Trump is going to load the detail section. Right? Perfect. So come back, save this. Don't forget to save, otherwise it will not load. So just come and refresh. I feel it should work. When you do things right, don't worry about output. Output will just follow you. When you're doing things right, don't even worry about anything. Click on plus button, and voila, you see the target got changed on the top, guys. It become add new. Hashtag got changed to add new, but oops, it didn't change my detail section. Why? Press F12 and check. You see there is a problem here. Cannot read property substring of undefined. It's coming from the detail controller. There is a bug which is been introduced. It's throwing some error here. Okay, basically this is a problem with your root match handler. Root match handler, you can see this is your root match handler function which we have implemented last time, Zuriac function, and this Zuriac function is being invoked because of loading a add new view. Ideally this Zuriac we should only execute this piece of code provided that user is running or navigating to the detail view, not in any other case. So let's set up a breakpoint and quickly come and check here. So what I'm going to tell the system that don't call the Zuriac, or when you calling the Zuriac, trigger this piece of code provided that user is trying to navigate to detail view, not to the add new product view. Only in that case you call this, because what happens, the root match handler gets called every time. Every controller's root match handler will be called every time. Okay, every time. So we will tell the system, don't call this, call it only when user navigating to an item. When user clicking on other buttons, don't execute this piece of code. How do you tell this? This event object will help you. So in this event object you will see, right click and say evaluate in console. Yes, and come here to this event object, and in this you will find parameters, and then you'll find arguments, and you see you'll somewhere find the name of the view. Yes, name of the view. You see in the config, in the parameters, in the config, in the name you can see it's detail. So when you're navigating to detail, only then trigger this piece of code, otherwise don't. Otherwise it is causing the problem. So go to the detail controller, come here. This is all we have learned, guys, in the past. So don't panic. It's event dot get parameters. Where do I have the similar code? Yes, I do have some similar code somewhere else also. I remember we have coded that. So event dot get parameters, get parameter of, we got to get the parameter. Which parameter I want? I want the config parameter, and then in this the name. So if this part is name, then we are going to do something. So let's copy this piece of code, go back to here, and we will check it if it is detail. If it is detail, then only do something, otherwise don't. So the whole piece of code we are going to run only if it is detail view, user navigating to detail view, not anything else other than that. Save it. I'm sure it should work now, because the root match handler Zuriac will not disturb us now. So let me refresh quickly so that code gets refreshed. Let me click on plus button now and watch. click on plus button, and you see it's changing the target on the top, but still my new view didn't load, guys. There is some problem again. The server responded with the status 404 not found. There's some problem with UI core, this UI5 library. You can see there's a problem with the router. Router is creating a problem with this UI5 library, SAP UI core JS. Let me load a different library from the CDN. So I come back and load a different library from CDN. So let me copy this, a stable version of the library, and try to place it in the index HTML. So let me place it here, guys. The bootstrap, save this. Let's try now. Maybe the problem was with the UI5 library. So one more important thing, sometimes some people will tell you Fiori has a cache issue. Okay, Fiori has a cache issue. That's what you will hear so many times. This issue is no more existing, but still sometimes it may happen that your libraries which you are loading are loaded the older versions. So what browser does, it caches the libraries which you are using. It doesn't have an issue with your app, but it caches the libraries which you are using. So you want to reload every library again. What you can do is press F12, come here, right click and choose empty cache and hard reload. When you do this one, it will reload all the libraries again. So that's what I recommend. You choose this option, right click on the refresh button and say empty cache and hard reload. It will reload all the libraries again. Okay, and voila, you see finally you can see with this particular target add new, it's loading my add your product view. See, if I just say empty, it's going to just load this. When I select an item, it's loading, see, my product, fine. But when I click on plus button, watch carefully on the top in the browser URL with the route match handler and router, it's going to load the new target. You see add new, oops, but there's some problem. It's not showing the view immediately. Let me just refresh. And you see add view your product here. That's what it is loading properly. Add your product. Okay, now here in this add your product view, what I'm going to do is I will be adding the properties. I will be adding input fields so that we can create a new product, right? So let's do that. So we quickly come back to Eclipse and go to our add new product view, and we will add here a simple form so that user can enter probably the details of product ID and stuff like that, and we will create a payload and we will do a post request to our gateway so that it creates the new product. So let's come new sap.ui.layout.form.simple form. That's what I'm going to create. It's a simple form I'm creating. Let me pass here just the product ID, product name, and description. 3 properties I'm just adding. So I will be adding the content for the form, and in the form content we will be adding the pair name value pair for everything. New sap.m.label text, and we will add here enter your product ID, new sap.m.input, and let's leave it empty. We'll give just an ID for this control, ID, prod ID, and similarly we will create 2 more input fields. Let me just create that. Maybe 4 of them. Name of the product, product name, product ID, product description. So prod DESC, and the price of the product. Yeah, we have created 4 fields. Great, that's the 4 fields we have created. Let's also add a save button. So let's add a save button. So we got to add a footer again in the page, new sap.toolbar, And in the toolbar content, we're going to add a button. Basically, we're going to add two things in the toolbar. One is the toolbar spacer. And next we will be adding a button. And this is going to be my save button. So let me give the text. I can also give the type of the button as accept. So it will come in the green color. The button style will be green color, and then we'll give a press action for this oController dot create, comma, we will pass the instance of controller. Save this. That's my event handler action, which I'm going to implement in the controller for my new product. Right now, when user click on this create button, let me print the values in the console. Okay, let me print all the values in the console. So based on the ID of these input fields, we're going to read the values and then we will display them. So var product ID is equals to sap.ui.getCore by ID. Give me the control with ID as prod ID, and then get value. We just get the value for the product ID, right? Similar to this, we have to also get the value for other properties. So let's get product name, product description, product price. Yeah, all these properties we have got, product name, description, and price. And then we will just say here product name, product description, and product price. We got all the values now. Let's create our payload. So we will create a payload. You remember our payload, which we have created last time, guys. We have just got one product data from the service, and then with this we created our payload. So let's create our payload as well here. So this is my payload for posting the data to backend. Yeah. So that's my payload for posting the data. I recommend always copy for that. So var payload, it's a JSON. It's a JSON which we need to design. It's a JSON here and pass all the properties. That's your payload for posting the data. So whatever I have it on my screen, I'm going to put it here. Whatever I don't have on my screen, guys, I will not put here. I will keep it hard-coded just to show you that it works. So this is my product ID. This is my product name. Here we go. And this is my description of the product. I will place it. Then I put it the product price. Yeah. These are all the properties. Remaining things I am hard coding as it is. As it is, I am hard coding. Okay. Remaining things are all hard coded. Now we got to get our model object. That's very important. So how do you obtain your model object? So you got to obtain that. So where we have defined it, let me go and quickly check where we have defined our model object. We did it in the master controller, I guess. No, we did it, I think, in the app controller definition of our, no, ComponentJS, where we define our model. Here we have defined, see, we have defined this model and we are setting this model at the page level, at the app level. Okay, and ID of my app is ID app1. That's my view name to which, with which level I've set it. So we got to get the OData model object here, var OData model equals to sap.ui.getCore. First we get to get the view object of the view. So with the by ID we will get the object of the view. where the model is being set. So this is the object of the view you will get, and then you call get model. It will give you your OData model object in the another view. Okay, it'll give you the model object. So you got the OData model object, and now we have to trigger the code. But before even doing all these, let's quickly come back and put a console.log, or we can put a debugger just to see if our payload is being created properly. Or we can also use this payload and just print this payload in console.log. Just to check, when I click on add create button, it should print the payload which I'm going to send to OData. Okay, it should print the payload in the console. That's what I'm doing on create button. So save everything, come back, refresh the page. You should see all your input fields on the screen. Voila, it's getting created. You can see product ID, name, description, and price. Let me enter some values. RT-1010. Name of the product is, let's say, Jangura smartphone. Product description is quad-core processor with 8 GB internal memory, 16 megapixel camera. That's a description, and a price is 555. Let me press F12. Right now on save button, will it send to backend? Anybody? On click of save button, is my payload is gonna go to backend system? Yes or no? On save button. Will my payload be sent to backend? No, we did not code it yet. We just going to print whatever payload is. So click on save button and you see your payload is printed. Perfect. See, that's your payload which we are going to now send to our backend system. Watch carefully, see, and you see quad-core processor, 8 GB internal memory. That's your description. You see the name Jangura smartphone. Where is the product ID? Oops, yeah, here it is, RT1010. That's my product ID, and the price is 555. You can see it's coded here. Very good, very good. So that's my payload. Let's send this payload now to backend. It's pretty simple, very easy. Use your OData model and call a method called create. In the create method, pass your entity set name on which you want to fire the request. Product set is my entity set name, comma, the payload data. That's it. And once this is successful, guys, you're going to get a callback function. Okay, you're going to get a callback function. Once it is successful, it's going to hit a callback function, success function. In this, you can print the user that it is successful. If it is an error, then it is going to call the error function. So this is the callback function which we are writing here. So we are making a post request on product set entity set with this is my data. Once the request gets completed and response comes back, system will call the success or the error message, error functions. If the response is success, then system will call the success function. If response is an error, system will call the error function. So we will show a message to the user. So let me just quickly load jQuery.sap.require m.message box. That's what you all remember, that we got to load the resources. Let me quickly test it here, and sap.m.toast message toast.show. Yeah, that's what I should use. A toast message I want to show to the user if it is success or it is failed. So let me show a toast message. Your product is created in backend. Happy. Yeah, product is created in backend, happy, and otherwise OMG, what the hell happened? That's what we are going to do. Great. So these are all the two toast messages. Never code these in productive environment, guys. This is not the professionalism, but just for the fun always has to be a fun element in the learning. So that's why I just put it. Save this. Let's go back and test now. This is the time when it will send a post request to the backend system. You can also check this request going in the network tab with the payload. Okay, I will show you that. Let's come back, refresh the page, quickly enter the data one more time, RT 1010 1091, whatever you like. Zangura smartphone, quad core processor, 16 MP camera, 8 GB ROM. Price is 555,548. Ready? Get set. Go. Go to network tab, guys. Go to network tab. Be very careful. Be very careful. In the network tab now here, we gonna experience a call which is going to backend. Click on save button, and voila, you see there is a call which has gone to product set, entity set. You can see, and it is getting red. It got red because of something. Let's go to the response and check. So you see 500 internal server error. There's some problem. This call has gone red because of something. There's some error which might have happened. Let me just come and check. There's an exception which is coming. It's calling create stream is not implemented. See, there's an exception which is coming from backend. Create stream is not implemented. Okay, we forgot to just let's provide an empty implementation for create stream method, and hopefully it should work. So that's a gateway issue now. So I come back towards class, DPC extension class. We have to just provide an empty implementation for our create stream method, because you remember in the last session I have showed you how to process images using SAP gateway. So it's because of that we have a dependency now. A create stream has to be there. I provide an empty implementation for create stream and activate the class again. We'll fire the create request one more time without changing anything. Just in the backend we have updated it now. Let's give one more shot. Click on save button. Perfect. The product is created in the backend. Happy. Guys, I am sure it would have got created. Now let's go back and check it. We will copy this. What is the best way to check? Make a OData call with entity set. Product set, get entity set. Make a OData call to get this particular product with its ID. Press enter. Let's go and test it. And if it comes as a response, I'm sure it will work. Oops, there's a problem. Invalid product ID RT1091. It didn't create, guys. Maybe some problem. Maybe some problem. But though it gave me a success, but it didn't create. Probably it's because we did not call commit work in our create method after creating. Okay, we forgot to call commit work. Let me call commit work. So I come back to my create entity set method for product set, and let me call the commit work here at the end before we send the response back. Okay, this might be the problem why it didn't create. Let me call it commit work in the backend, and let me try again. Let me send the same request. Click on save button. You see the success message. Your product is created in backend system. Happy, it is created. Let's go back and test now. Click on refresh. Still it is not working. There is some problem. It didn't work. Let's actually set up a breakpoint and check here whether it's really hitting my create method or not. So I put a breakpoint here. You see I'm putting it, and click on hit again. Click on save button again. It will hit the backend. It's not even hitting the backend system. Why? Let me refresh the Fiori app. It should hit the backend, guys. It has to hit the backend. It has to hit my create entity method. Then only I would consider it's working. So RT-899-8900. Let me put this time sample demo 555. Click on save. It's not calling my create entity set method, guys. There's some problem. Let me try putting a breakpoint in this one, which is the newly added method, create a stream method. Let me put a breakpoint and see if it's hitting here by any chance. Yes, it's hitting the create entity. This method it is hitting, guys. Create a stream method it is implementing actually. See, after that it's supposed to go to the other method, but it is not going there. It's not going there. There's some problem. It's supposed to hit the next method, but it is not hitting. It's coming out. So the problem is with this. So let me quickly go back and change my my OData again by canceling the implementation for create stream and get stream both. Okay, let me do that quickly. So I'll reverse the implementation for create stream, which we used for purely image processing. We will remove it now, both the methods for the time being. Save it. Also in the MPC extension class yesterday, we have added the media resources. That also I will remove the implementation. This one here, I'll remove this as well so that it doesn't have a media thing now at all. And I'll also go to SEGW, and here I will mark my entity type again back to normal, not a media type. Regenerate. Yes, let's try now. Click on save. Something went wrong. It's saying create stream not implemented again because the metadata did not refresh. Let me just refresh the metadata in the Fiori app, or you can also load the refresh the metadata. Sometimes what happens is your gateway service metadata is cached in the browser, so you got to refresh that. So for that, come to iwfnd/mint_service transaction, and there you need to select your service and refresh the metadata. So this is our service zdemo OData SRV. You can see this load metadata button, reload the metadata, and that's it. And let's refresh our Fiori app also by emptying the cache to try this. So it's all problem because of image processing. It's calling the image related methods. That's why it's causing the problem. Otherwise we wouldn't have seen these many problems. BY1010 I'm trying now. Sample demo product from Fiori app. Price is $999. Click on save. Let's try one more time. It's gone, and voila, this time you see, guys, it's hitting my create entity method in the backend. That's what I wanted. Press F8, press F8. Let's see the Fiori app, what it says. Your product is created happily in the backend system, guys. Wow. It's created BY1010. Let's do a get call from the OData service for BY1010. Let's see if it works. Let's see if the response comes. BY1010. Press enter. Boom. That's your response. You see, that's what we created from our Fiori app. Congratulations. Your first post request which you made from a Fiori app end-to-end demo, guys, is working end-to-end. We did get, we did post. You update and delete, you can try on your own. Yeah, end to end we have seen how to build a Fiori app, how to consume the OData service from the gateway from a free server, and how to make the calls, how to do the binding, how to use the router, configuration, ComponentJS, manifest, route match handler, all the concepts, a pure Fiori-like app, how to build it. We have seen end to end. Now there's one quick question which I've received from the email also 2 days back, Anubhav, when we are deploying an app, if we are hard coding the URL, you see in ComponentJS we have hard coded the URL. See here, EHP7PRD, it's a production system, SAP.in 7200. This is the hard coding of the URL of the system. What will happen? Typically in a landscape, what you usually have, whenever you go to a system, what you usually have in a landscape, you have three systems. Can anybody name those three systems in any landscape? What are all the three systems we do have? Anyone? What are all these three systems in a landscape? Perfect. Anu has got it right. Development, quality, and production. You have three different systems, right? So this is your development system. This is your queue system. This is your production system. Sometimes Development queue are one single physical system, but they're different clients. Now, if you're deploying your application with the hard-coded URL of production system, okay, hard-coded URL, what will happen? If you deploy in development system with a hard-coded URL, it will work, no problem. If you deploy with the hard-coded URL of your development system, in here, it will work, no problem. But once it gets transported to quality in production, what problem you will see? Anyone? What problem you will see when you put a hard-coded URL for your OData? And once the app reaches to development in quality, URL will found. It will find the URL. No HTTP error. It will find the URL, but it will still go and connect to development system only, right? Because you hard coded the URL to development system. So even though your app is reaching to different systems, whether production or quality, you still have a bigger problem. It is still connecting to dev system. Your app reached to all the systems, but you have a problem. How do we solve this problem? Anyone? Fair enough? Very valid question. Very valid question. How do we solve this? To solve this problem, we never give hard-coded paths. Never give hard-coded paths. You should always give relative paths. Remove this whole part. Just put this much. That's it. And deploy your app. You just have to put this much and deploy your app. The moment you run this application, your OData model is very smart. Your OData model checks in which system I am running the app. It takes the host name and the port name, the path, which is this one. Or when you're running in dev system, it is this one, this path. Your OData model reads the URL and the port name automatically, runtime pay, and then it will append. So you have to just put the relative path in the OData model and deploy your app. It will work in all the systems wherever your app reaches. That's what they exactly do. That's what they exactly do. You save this. Now we deploy this in our Fiori, in our ABAP system. It's very simple. Hardly 2 minutes it will take to deploy. Right click on the app, click on team, share the project, select ABAP, SAP UI5 ABAP repository, click on next, click on browse, select your system, click on OK. This is my system I selected now. Click on next, enter the client. So let me check the client. It's 800 and put your username and the password and just say next. System is now deploying your app. Okay, since it is not authorized to access, my user is not authorized to access the SAP system from the Eclipse, so I'm not sure. I need to contact my basis team. But there's another way also to deploy this app. No need to worry. This is your app. Just go back to SAP system. Go to SEAD transaction. Or sorry, you have to go to SE38 transaction and use a program called /UI5 /UI5 underscore repository load. This is the program you got to use. Press F8. Enter a name. Enter some name of application. Let's say Z Killer or Z Demo App 1. Okay, and say upload. Click on execute and show the path of your app. It's Fiori like app here. Click on OK. Remember, it's showing you all the files which will be deployed in the server. Click on upload button. Let's give a description for our application. My first Fiori app deploying in ABAP server, ABAP repository, and say package. Let me choose the package here. I will probably put $temp because I don't want to transport this. It's a simple one. If you put a transport request, it goes to all the quality in production equivalently. Click on OK. System is now going to create a new app for you as a BSP application. As a BSP application, it will be created in the system, guys, and then you can access this. So just check all these properties all the time. Allow. Let's see what happens. It's taking time, little bit of time. Let it take, no problem. It'll take a little bit of time. Done. Done. Let's go and check. Copy this. Go to SCAD transaction, your app workbench, and check out the local object of my user. So I select local objects, display, BSP library, and voila, you see ZDemo app1 here. You can see all the artifacts got deployed. This is your index HTML. Let's look at our component.js, where we have a relative path. Remember, this should not be hard-coded, guys. This is very critical. It has to be the relative path. Never hard-code your URLs. If you do that, it will always connect to that system. If wherever the app reaches, whether it is deployed in quality or production, it doesn't matter. It will always go and connect to that system. It has to be a relative path. And now let's run this. Select it and execute. So I just click on execute button. It asks me remember, yes. And it asking me the credentials. Press OK. Yes, it has to be a Fiori-like app, guys. Otherwise, it won't help you. It has to be a Fiori-like app. Looks like there's something wrong. Let me try running from the Chromium browser because that's what I like. Press F12 and check the console if at all there's a problem. Yeah, it's loading. Perfect. Great. See, guys, we have deployed an end-to-end Fiori application in SAP server. That's your pure custom app scenario where you have been given an assignment to build an end-to-end Fiori app by your client and deploy an SAP server and make it use. You see, it's picking up the data from your server as well. It's picking up the data, see? It's picking up the data, guys. It's picking up the data, yeah? It's picking up the data. Perfect. That's what we wanted. That's what all we wanted, right? So we saw an end-to-end application deployment in SAP Server. As part of next course, which I'm probably launching on coming Sunday, you will see a new level. There you will see how to configure this app with SAP Fiori Launchpad, how to activate SAP Fiori Launchpad, how to activate SAP standard apps, how to create a application from scratch from SAP Web IDE, how to use Cloud Connector. That's what we will see in the next training. If you would like to enroll for this, this is a great training. You will definitely get proper end-to-end development perspective for Fiori apps, whether it be the custom app or the standard Fiori apps and enhancements. So this is a Fiori consultant training, a lot of basis work including roles and activation, deactivation of functions you will see in this training. The current training is the prerequisite for this, of course. So in this we'll see Fiori solution, what is the strategy for UX strategy for SAP for Fiori, what is the Fiori architecture and technologies, installation, how to install the Fiori in SAP system, Launchpad, what is Launchpad, what are all its functionality, how to configure the Launchpad for your company when the system is fresh, what are all the different transactional apps available. We'll only see transactional apps, no analytical, no fact sheet apps, because analytical and fact sheet apps need HANA as the database. HANA has to be the primary database for fact sheet and transactional apps, which we don't have it here. So that's why we'll only see transactional apps, how to configure them end to end for them, and then concept of groups, roles, catalogs in Fiori landscape, Launchpad designer, how to design your Launchpad, semantic object mapping and stuff like that. Then Fiori security, PFCG roles, how to use these roles to activate, deactivate and give an access to the users, configuring SAP Fiori apps on a standard Fiori Launchpad, theme designer concepts, what are the different techniques to distribute it, different techniques to disable the personalization layers on the Launchpad, uh, installation of Fiori client. Okay, how you can install the Fiori client, and how you can enable mobile-like features like camera in Fiori apps. How do you enable camera functionality in Fiori apps? Basically, creating the app on SAP Web IDE. So we will see how to create an app on SAP Web IDE, and then we'll see role concepts, all the UI5 related concepts which we have already learned. There will be a little bit of repeat, but main aspect here will be developing on SAP Web IDE, and then using customizing configuration. We will also see some 2 or 3 business scenarios where I will change an existing Fiori app. Let's say I will consider an example for, let's say, timesheet app. So you have a standard app in your company which SAP has delivered for your company, but now there's a need, they want you to adopt that app and make some changes to that app. Okay, how do you make changes to standard Fiori app? Okay, how to set up your local Eclipse environment so that you can run standard Fiori apps in Eclipse. So after I change this path, I can't run it in locally now. So how do you still run it locally and connect to different servers from Eclipse? So from this single Eclipse, single app here deployed, you can connect to different servers at a time, production, quality, development from Eclipse itself. You can do that. Okay, all that we will see. We will also see enhancements of standard Fiori app using Web IDE or using Eclipse. We'll see both the techniques, how to enhance. So in Eclipse you have to install something called Fiori toolkit to, if you want to enhance the standard apps. If you don't want Eclipse to be used, then you have to use SAP Web IDE. There you have to create an extensibility project. All that will be covered in the next training. Of course, it's again a completely different set of topics which some of you may need it, some of you may not need it. That's why I've separated it in a different training. The duration for this will be about 20 hours. So if you are willing to go to the advanced level, then definitely I would recommend you to go with this training. If not, the current knowledge itself is sufficient. Then moving on to the next part, if you want to go one more level up, it's a world of cloud. It's a world of internet. You will not see probably going forward in some days the typical deployment based systems where companies do have a lot of cost for installation, setting up the environment, but they want to consume the application as a service. It's a infrastructure as a service. It's called HANA Cloud Platform. This is an advanced training where if you want to learn a complete cloud-based learning, complete cloud-based solution you can build end-to-end, including database, including services. So right now here your service and your code lies into gateway system. What if you are in cloud? In cloud you have only internet. Your database also has to be in the cloud only. So we will use HANA Cloud Platform. It provides an end-to-end capability for developing, deploying, and managing the applications. It also provides a shared HANA database, a shared schema in HANA database, which we can use for creating our database and then deploying the app, creating OData service using Olingo framework, and then consuming it using Fiori apps. So all these things will be covered in this advanced course, but it's your choice what exactly you want to do. You want to go to which level, at what level of learning you want. Believe me, this type of course content you will not find anywhere else on any website. People don't have knowledge. They will not at all cover any of these concepts, and even though you go for any training anywhere else, you'll find it very costly. My training, I guarantee.
I want to deploy this one, do I need to create a BSP application?
No, you already created one, and now every time you want to change something.
No. If for every application I'm talking about.
Yes, it has to be a BSP application. Even standard Fiori applications are deployed in system as a BSP application only.
Okay,
Okay.
that's one. And okay, and one more thing. Yesterday you were talking about how can we create a OData from Fiori. You were saying that there will be something that you were going to
Yes,
tell
yes,
us
it's
something.
called Fiori, it's called OData generation technique. I will show you in the next class along with Web
Okay,
IDE. So
okay,
it's called Fiori, it's called OData generation technique, where you don't need to know how any ABAP and OOPS ABAP knowledge. With that you can directly create
okay.
OData
Thank
set.
you,
Any
thank
other
you.
questions? No questions? Okay, good. So